You ready?
Shalom, shalom, family.
Shalom, shalom.
Okay, I want to explain something up top. And it's very important that you grasp what I'm finna say because it's difficult for anyone. I don't care what kind of degrees he got based upon an education, the intellectual, connection of this world. When you understand how you have been programmed to think, you have to think according to the way you've been programmed. You can't think outside of that programming. And I'm saying that to say that it's most difficult for you all that are in the process of we all that's coming out of this programming to have two different people giving two different messages. We always say you can't give two different messages. I don't want no one to think what I'm saying is different from what Eitai is saying.
Right.
Not at all.
Now, what you understand, so you can understand, you got to go back now into the foundation of what I started with yesterday. And you understand, Hava and Adam, right up top, I made it clear. Most of us possibly missed it. But we have to be clear that when you think in duality, polarity, you cannot grasp the wholeness of anything. This is why the scripture states, you'll be forever learning and never able to come to the knowledge of the truth. This is the reason why, because you are what? Thinking in polarity, in duality. It will not lead you to the truth. It wasn't never, meant to lead us to the truth. I keep saying that this was a part of a plan, a forethought of our ancestors. And if it's not, we ain't on this phone.
Right.
That's just the reality. And I know we don't all see it that way. And so it's difficult when it don't come forth in the programming that you have heard things and you believe those things. Now, let me set the next point.
Now, see, before you move on to the next point, I just want to confirm that because as soon as we got off, Zimra is in the other room. As soon as we got off the call, and she'll confirm this, I told her that the reason why I let it go on like that is because, like I said, you were on that it needed to come out like that. It needed to come out. And I said, but I bet you, some people are going to say that what Nasik is saying is contradicting what we've been talking about all along. And we had a conversation about that about an hour long yesterday.
And I really understand clearly.
There is no way that these things are in contradiction.
Separate.
There is no way that it's contradiction. I just want to say it from my standpoint. No way. What we must understand, Nasi, is that these scriptures can be understood on multiple levels, and interpreted and decoded on multiple levels. Sometimes we start on lower levels, depending on who we're talking to. If you haven't heard, or the majority of people haven't heard, we start on a lower level. Sometimes we start on a higher level. But we're talking about, and you were careful to say it, but I knew some people were going to miss it. You were careful to say that we are talking about the same thing, just in different terms. We must familiarize ourselves with these symbols and these terms. If not, it's going to sound like we're in contradiction when we are in perfect agreement.
Harmony. Yes.
We understand. Go ahead, Nasi. Go ahead with your second point.
So the point I want to put up front and then tie all of this together is I want to use again an example. Yesterday I used the example of a wheel with all the spokes in it. how when the wheel turn, all the spokes turn. That's just a symbol to let you know that everything is what? Unified and connected, and it depends upon the whole and not the individual within the whole.
That's correct.
A puzzle. A puzzle is a picture, you know, that has been separated or disconnected, but it's still a picture. And when you're looking at the puzzle disconnected, it's a puzzle. It seems complicated. But once you start to assemble the pieces in their respective places, all of a sudden, then now it starts to what? Become total and whole. And it what? It looked like a picture that's whole. The same idea we have to understand about the history of the Bible as you understand it, the history of us as a people as we understand it, and the organic reality versus the inorganic reality. All inorganic matter is what? Connected to inorganic matter. It don't agree with organic matter or vice versa. So if you are inorganic in our thought process, and I'm talking in organic terms, it's not going to make sense. But when I move from organic to inorganic, you must become confused simply because what? I'm saying there ain't no connection between organic and inorganic, because organic is the natural cycle, but inorganic is the simulated cycle, which is perceived to be the only way it is because been programmed to believe that. Any other way outside of the simulated reality, it does not appear to have any validity because you don't have no frame of reference.
It's what we've become used to, that's all.
Absolutely. Now, and I always try, you know, because I know how we've been taught in the kingdom. I know. And I know I try to use as much of the kingdom idea and then try to, what you would call, tweak it a little bit so that you can kind of what? Stay abreast, because I know where we're coming from as a people.
Correct.
Now, I'm going to give you an example of something called ambition. Now, all of us have ambition, and but why is this term ambition so significant in the contemporary time that we live in? And it's most important because somebody wants to be the one. I said the one now, to be the one that what? Change things so they can say, well, I did this or I did that. The credit will go to the one. But you see, again, that's the simulated reality. That is not the organic reality. Now, why do I say that? I want to go to Melanin, page 33 in the Imitation of Life, and I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to walk right into Adam and Kava so you can see the unity of the idea, but it's coming from a broad perspective as opposed to a sequential, you know, method or way. But we're going to make it, you understand, sequential. We're going to take the broad and going to make it sequential so that you can understand it step by step, because that's the programming. You can't see the whole program yet. You can't see the whole program yet. So here we go. Imitation of Life, page 33. Something was stated here, and Eitai just hit up on it a few minutes ago. He says, we're reading on page 33 in Imitation of Life. It's coming off of the reference of Genesis 1, 26, 27, Genesis 2 and 7, Deuteronomy 6, 6 and 8, 14, 15, and Ezekiel 9, 1 and 6. Now, this is the point here. He states, what was being communicated to us by the statement, Yah created Adam in his likeness and image? A question, possibly with a slight modification, we may have clearer insight into Yah's objective. Let us interpret the message as Yah created Adam to be his image and likeness on earth. This slightly reconfigured English translation gives us a clear understanding of Yah's thoughts being conveyed by way of the Hebrew language. In this instance, the term image implies Adam is to be Yah's creative genius to continue the incessant process of bringing forth that which was not. So the process of incessant continuation, when you understand what Eitai been giving us about the simulated reality that we all agreed upon, that come into this concept in the earth realm, as long as that was in place, there couldn't be no continuation of Adam, you understand, being the image of the creator.
Mm-hmm.
You got to understand that. So it says we created man in our image. But now we got to understand that that was the recessive and the dominant. And the recessive, when you look at the scriptures again, it was stated that when my time of rulership, the days of your father, our father, will be a time of mourning, a time of trouble, time of tribulation. We see that occurring. Now, we're going to go now and show what happened and how. We're going to go to page 81, same book, and we're going to read a very small little portion on page 81. Page 81 here, it states, 81, the imitation of life. The Genesis gives us our first experience with how personal ambition causes national suffering. After the descent of Adam and Eve, what would not have been, hear me, was, and what would have been became a dream deferred. And this is exactly what we live in. The dream that was deferred because of the flaw. We had to defer what was to be paradise, heaven, all the good things that had to be deferred because of the fall. But now we understand what the fall is, as we are talking about it online here. So let us consider now how this ties into Adam and Eve, Esau, Jacob, Cain and Abel. Those concepts, those ideas, you're going to read throughout the writings of the biblical narratives. But you got to understand, they're all explaining, you know, a condition of opposites or duality, where as long as we under those opposites, polarized by those, however it takes place, we're going to suffer, just like we said, the dream of harmony and peace and balance and unity. All those things will be deferred until a particular time. Now we see the energy is moving to activate another time. So I go back to the first point I started with yesterday. I said the concept of Adam and Kaaba in respect to the light of our present world view of wholeness. Now we see things from a holistic point of view. Are we supposed to? That's the point of reference. We must view things now. And in retrospect and looking back to that of dualism. So you got what? Wholeness and you got dualism. When we look back to dualism and we try to understand it from that perspective, it will never make sense. Because everybody that has some significance to making it make sense has been demonized, has been made to be what? Off limits, all the concepts and ideas. Hear me? And so we say, we are now able to comprehend and understand that which had been previously hidden or concealed. You can't understand what has previously been hidden and concealed under duality. Absolutely no way to understand it. No way. The only way is through wholeness. That's when you start to see the whole picture. The whole picture springs into action when you start to looking at it from a holistic point of view. But as long as you're looking at it from a dualistic point of view, you cannot see. So then we went on to state, quote, does the idea that it was created from an organic part of man mean that she is eternally connected to him? Organic, that's our term. The organic reality versus the inorganic simulated reality. They are opposites. They are opposites. The simulated reality in our what present programming appear to be the what real organic one. Not so though. Absolutely not so. Are we reminded, or better yet warned, that there can be no survival of one at the expense of the other? Any significant alteration to the specific relationship. What is the relationship? The specific relationship is wholeness. Any alteration to the specific relationship of wholeness between Adam and Eve will create difficulty in their environment. And I stated yesterday, the first environment was your internal environment. And if not resolved in time, if we do not resolve in due time the division that has occurred within us, then you will not be able to transition out of duality into holism. You won't do it. You have a time cycle will lead to one's extinction or both of their extinction. So that means then that Adam and Eve, Adam and Kava had to at some point in a particular time cycle to reunite again. That's on the physical realm, but it has to start in the energetic or spiritual realm, where it starts within the primary energy, feminine, activating within herself, the physical woman, the other element of masculinity or energy of right brain, left brain unity, which is the marriage. That is the union.
That's correct.
Then when we understand that from that level, that same energy of femininity activate that, you understand, within the physical realm with the physical man, when that consciousness is made aware of the other side of himself being of a necessity be reunified or to marry itself, its other counterpart. Once we start to put these pieces together on this wise, then we can begin to see how all of this ties in like a glove. Now, when we go back, I'm going to go to the definition of ambition, because we need to understand ambition. Sometimes we have these preconceived definitions, but they don't really mean what they should mean, so to speak. Ambition. Ambition applies to the desire for personal advancement or preferment, and may suggest equally praiseworthy or an inordinate desire. An inordinate desire means disorderly or unregulated. Now, when we can see that the present order is chaos, but it appeared to be order because that's how we've been programmed to see it order. But it's an order that is what? Created by the simulated reality. It is not the order that Eitai was just talking about in terms of the organic, you understand, order of nature. So when we understand that is the only order we can follow, if we're talking about wholeness, if we're talking about unity, if we're talking about peace and talking about, harmony and balance. So I'm not going to try to expand this. What I'm going to do today is just go over this, what we put forth today, as a review, because this is an enormous piece, and I don't want to try to cram it, I don't want to rush, but that's what I've been doing, and I'm not going to do that. So I want to try to give us a review of what we touched upon yesterday, and close it out with a few points of clarity that possibly were not as clear as should have been yesterday. So what we're going to do now, we're going to take and talk about, we said that had two narratives, one given a creation cycle and time and people, and another emanation. We made a distinction there. We gave the scriptural references. And I know when you go to Genesis 1:26 through 27 and you read it in the, dualistic way of thinking, or the polarity or the rational way of viewing the scriptures, you cannot see emanation there. You're going to see that because they use the word creation. But I don't care what word is used there. But when you really understand that, that is the emanation narrative. And when you go to 2:21 through 25, now we see the creation, narrative. And we got to understand that they are different. That's a new thought. I know. Never heard that before. But that's what we're going to have to conceptualize to really understand the fullness of the idea. Here, the emanation process. He said the act or process of being brought forth and confirmed, okay, in the Genesis. So we use Genesis 14:18 through 19, and Hebrews 7:1 through 3, talking about Melchizedek, king of, now this is written king of righteousness, but I keep saying it's king of wholeness. You can't be right except you be whole. There's no such thing as righteousness without you being whole. The emanate, it says to come out from a source. But what is the source? We keep saying it's melanin. We say it's melanin. To emit, and it says to spring forth, implies rapid or sudden emerging. This is melanin again. The emanation is the action of emanating, the origination of the world by a series of hierarchical descending radiations from the Godhead through, and I say it in parentheses, the source melanin absorbing light energy as the intermediate stages to matter. That's what melanin does. 2, something that he emanates or is produced by emanation. And we use Melchizedek, where he stated he was king of righteousness, king of peace. He had no father, no mother, no beginning or no end. So here we know we ain't talking about Melchizedek as an individual or person. We're talking about what? The energy of that which emanates from melanin. That's what we're talking about. It has no beginning and no end. It is the beginning. It is the end. It is the Alpha and Omega. It is the head and the tail and a return to the head. You got to understand how this works. Then we went on to say that the second creative narrative conveys creation. And that's the one under Genesis 2:21 through 25. This one is referred to it as an inorganic reality, characteristics that is one that simulated, that simulates. And the word simulates means to copy, to represent, to finish. That's from the Latin. Then it said to assume the outward qualities or appearance of, often with the intent to deceive, to imitate, to make simulation of, as a physical system. Do we have a physical system? It's called what? A social order. It is governed by laws that have been what? Created to govern this social system, what you can and can't do. And you find yourself violating of those laws, you find yourself being what? Chastised by the hierarchy of descendants. That's what established the order.
Correct.
Then we move on. It says, in order to glean the essence from these two narratives, emanation and creation, we must come to understand the different objectives in the two narratives. In the first creative narrative, is made clear that each creative element was given a different responsibility. Okay, in the emanated narrative, I'm sorry, I said it created emanated narrative. Male Zakar, female Nikiva. The example is the masculine Zakar was to remember, to mention as a memorial. The feminine Nikiva is to penetrate, perforate, specify, point, express, withhold, names, pierce, strike through. So that is the emanation. Now, when we look at what happened between the being made in the image of Zakar and Nikiva, we said they had a responsibility. But now we have to understand what is called sin or the going against the law. We have to understand that again, Eitai keep telling us, it wasn't no concept of sin like that. Is that what? This was forethought of how the acknowledgement of a flaw and how that flaw had to be corrected.
Correct.
So that's why the simulated reality had to be agreed upon, and whatever we were to suffer under it, so be it, in order to correct the flaw. Then we go from there to Isaiah 26. Now, this is the particular verse that really magnifies things. Isaiah 26, 16 to 18. And it reads, Lord, in trouble have they visited thee. They poured out a prayer when thy chastening was upon them. Like a woman with child that draws near the time of her delivery, is in pain and cries out in her pains. So have we been in thy sight, O Lord. We have been with child. We have been in pain. We have, as it were, brought forth wind. And that's what I was talking about yesterday. Bringing forth wind. You know, most of us understand, you know, when someone, you know, that ate something that wasn't correct and it didn't digest properly or something, what happens? You say, man, you know, you got gas. So here we're talking about wind and gas is something that is what? Being brought forward, but it's not the substance that's desired.
Okay.
He said, we have not wrought any deliverance in the earth, neither have the inhabitants of the world fallen. Well, that's not true in its fullness. What it really means is that we have not had any deliverance of wholeness, but we continue to get in conception with the simulated idea. That simulated idea continued to be repeated over and over and over again. So this is what the scripture is saying in return, in respect to how we seemingly, you know, haven't had any deliverance. There's been a deliverance now. We've definitely been in conception. We're in conception now. The conception is this dualistic what? Way of viewing things that everybody is in conception with. And that is what we keep bringing forth. And it keeps causing problems within our internal self and our external reality. That is absolutely what we keep bringing forward. But it's perceived to be, you understand, that no one has come to save us. And it kept talking about a man-child. And so every time that physical man with the energetic energy of recessive dominant traits present, what was you going to do but continue to suffer the same consequences over and over and over again? Because all they could create was a simulated reality. They couldn't go back to the organic reality.
That's correct.
And so as we look at this, we want to just give a couple of points here, and then we're going to close this because it's been a lot said, but we got to continue to keep tying this in. With due respect to our humble beginning, online here and our beginnings in our pursuit of, whatever truth that we've been trying to acquire. An earnest objective, our humble beginning and earnest objective is to simplify the process of understanding the sealed writings of the Bible.
Okay.
They are sealed in the simulated, inorganic, dualistic approach. You will never break the seal. Absolutely never will break the seal. So, in our humble beginning, that's where we all started at. That's where we all started at. Continuing on. These verses of Isaiah 26:16-18 verify the infold, energetic, and also the unfold manifestation in the earth realm. Deliverance has not occurred in the spiritual realm or physical realm. Isaiah 26 verified. We have not had it. We've been in conception with a dualistic idea, and that's what keeps coming forward. I don't want us to think that we have not been in conception and there was no, it was a deliverance, but it wasn't the deliverance of wholeness. It wasn't the deliverance of an organic, you understand, reality. Okay, continuing on. We have been with child, we have been impregnated, yet no deliverance. So the word here, deliverance, we're using, the number is 3444. And it's interesting. I think you pronounced it Yeshua. Yeshua. Feminine past tense. Something saved, abstract. Now, we have not been saved because of the simulated reality. This concept of salvation remains an abstract idea under duality. And they try to convince us that if you can conceptualize it, then you can what? Materialize it. But you see, they was talking about conceptualizing it not from an organic relationship of the brain and consciousness animated via neuromelanin. They was talking about it from what they had given us called a mind. And that thing called a mind made you come under the influence of the duality. So you got a brain and you got a mind. You got a body and you got a spirit. All that was duality. That was all a part of how we allowed that to take us down the wrong path. So as a result, salvation still is abstract. Deliverance, aid, victory, prosperity, health, salvation. All those things everybody wants. All of those are the things that everybody in the pursuit of. Now we move to the root of the word, deliverance, 3647. A primitive root, yasha, to be open or free, i.e. by implying to be safe. In the causative, to free, to succor, relief, aid, and help. The concept of a child, now the word child, 2029, that's the strong number, is kara. It means to be or become pregnant. Conceive, literally, figuratively, been with child, be with child, or conceive. Now, you know and I know we have been with child, and the child we nourished. Duality. This duality was the same symbol of the twins in the womb. And the same thing.
Great connection. Great connection.
Identical same thing.
Yes.
That's structure in the womb.
Yes.
Yes.
So ain't nothing separate here. It's just that we have not seen the whole picture. And if we what? Hold fast, you understand that what you're being taught here and let go of what you've been taught and what you have believed to be reality, then you'll start to get the picture. You'll start to get the whole picture. So we're going to close with this point. The child that was, the child that we / humanity have been and still are in conception with is the same two twins that Rebecca had struggling with within her womb. And her womb needs consciousness. The two twins are the dualistic, rationalistic conception of good and evil, right and wrong, etc. Or in other words, dualism. Not the noun, 14th century, a theory that considers reality to consist of two irreducible elements. We all believe that. We believe that the universe actually was a two different, you understand, systems. That's what's written in the dictionary. Well, what was we going to do but believe it? We didn't have no other way to prove it otherwise, so we accepted that. And we tried to make it make sense. It says, consists of two irreducible elements or modes. The quality or state of being dual or a dual nature. Well, I don't have a dual nature no more because I'm not under duality. I'm not double-minded.
Right.
So when you will get rid of duality, you don't have no dual system.
Right.
Continuing on. A doctrine that the universe is under the dominion of two opposing principles.
Right.
One of which good and the other evil. A view of human beings as constituted of two irreducible elements as matter and spirit. Well, matter and spirit is not two anything. Matter and spirit is one.
That's correct.
Yes.
The physical body is the device, is a device that's what used to call the spirit to what? Manifest itself in the earth realm so you can accomplish things.
Yes.
And ain't no separation. But when you come into that idea, you're going to find it difficult to make the biblical writings have any validity. You just have an intellectual belief or faithful belief and a commitment to something that we just didn't understand. We just didn't understand it. Because then that's going to take us into the deep sleep. And so I'm going to hold right there, Eitai, because I think just kind of tying that Isaiah 26 and giving us that to let us see that there's no separation. There's no division. There's no two doctrines being taught, no two classes being taught. It's a continuation at the various levels of the holistic reality of all things.